Okay, so I've been listening in and of course learned a lot of marketing in the last couple of hours, and I realized that in this August group of marketers, there might be very little that I can add from a marketing perspective. So I said, let me use actually this session to give you a bird's eye view of how the board looks at marketing. Yeah. And those of you who are marketers in the room, listen in because I will tell you what can get you sacked. Yeah, and which of these things, if you were to do, you can ensure that you stay an evergreen marketer. Yeah, very little marketing in what I say, a lot of common sense. But if each one of you can pick up even a single thought from what I say, I think I would have done my job. So, so first is adapt, adopt, and accept the change. And when we listen in, of course, our first reaction is, yeah, of course, we need to adapt. But this is fascinating. The dude on the left-hand side, the dinosaurs, 150 million years, and they vanished. The ones on the right-hand side, the cockroaches, have lasted 300 million years. What's the difference? In a traditional sense, one would say, yeah, I want to be the dinosaur, the muscular, the big guy. I want to be the smartest, sharpest marketer around. But you know what? If you do not adapt the way the cockroaches adapt, if you're not a cockroach today, in today's day and age, actually you might get extinct before you realize. And I was reflecting when Sam was presenting. In fact, I saw the report. I joined Sam's session midway. In 2020s, I remember Sam was presenting and he said, what, digital has now overtaken print. And this is because of COVID. And many of us in the audience, we nodded our head and we say, yeah, this will settle down. Yeah, of course, digital will settle down and of course, print will continue to be number two. It's fascinating to see. Digital has become 60% of the business. It's moving very, very rapidly. And one of the questions for everyone in this audience would be, if you look at all the tools around, these are essentially the leading tools in their spaces. If you have not yourself personally experienced at least half of these, you are actually being the left end, the left dude. And if you have used at least half of them, then you're being the cockroach. Please be a cockroach. Things are changing very quickly. Please ensure that you have actually experienced personally yourself at least half of these tools. Because these tools might start defining marketing within 6 to 12 months. It won't take 5 years, trust me. It's moving very, very rapidly. Yeah, so first is adapt and adopt. Be a cockroach marketer. Don't be a dinosaur marketer. You might look awesome today. You might be doing lots of traditional media. People might be applauding you. Within a year, you might be a dinosaur. And no one would want you in the company. Yeah. Second one, and this is a very, very important one. Please listen in. First fire bullets and then cannonballs. Now, what are bullets? Bullets are essentially, very precise, very targeted plans which you put in a small geography, in a small microcosm and study first. I have seen marketing function being rolled back because someone fired a cannonball before firing a bullet. What do I mean by that is, you have resources. What people do is, you have a flashy agency, you go with them, you go with the flow and they tell you, sir, this is a big idea, let's bet the bank behind it. You end up putting 70% of your money to fire the cannonball. You spend money and you realize, oh damn, it didn't work. Damu, who heads our media buying today morning, was sharing one example. I won't name the brand. So they spent 35 crores in year one. Then they spent 25 crores in year two, one brand. And year three, they're spending 2 crores. And the marketer has lost his job. Right? So what does this tell us is that in today's day and age, please fire a bullet first, test your thesis and see the impact. If the thesis works, go ahead and put a cannonball in place and double down and triple down on the quantum of spends. But before you're tested it out with a bullet, don't fire a cannonball. This is very, very critical. I again can't name. There is a large company which has actually completely changed over their marketing function, the way they look at it, because they stepped back and they said marketing is not working. Very large company, by the way, very well respected company. And I've worked with the CEO, so I was talking to the person, and this person tells me, what? We have fired lots of cannonballs too early, and that's our current issue. Now we are trying to figure out which thesis will work. So we have put 100 tests in the company, and we will start to double and triple down on the tests that are working for us. So always remember, first fire a bullet and then go with a cannonball. This will ensure longevity of your marketing career. Yeah. Of course, when you imagine, the purest in us, The purest marketer in us wants to imagine, wants to take flights of fancy, lots of ideas and thoughts on what I want to change the world and this is what I want to create. Ensure you do that. Of course, you need to have a really open mind as you dream. Of course, when you start to implement, you fire the bullet first and then you fire the cannonball. But when you measure success of your monies that you're deploying, ensure you're thinking like a true blue CFO. Very, very critical. Before you start a campaign, please ensure in your mind you're clear that these are the 3 indices and matrices that I will move. And yourself, you don't need your boss, you don't need your CFO, you don't need your CEO, whoever to come and ask you on what the impact of what you did was. In your mind, before you start and trigger a campaign, be clear on what impact am I expecting. Measure the impact at the end of it. You will always be an amazing marketer. And the day you start dreaming big, very good, you need to do that. But stop measuring your dreams. Eventually it will die down. No company has infinite resources and monies to invest behind any brand, trust me. And today's day and age is actually becoming even sharper and faster. I was listening into the panel, someone said, I'm sure in the boardrooms there's a lot of discussion on what was the sales translation of the money spent. Yes, indeed, that's the discussion. You spend 30 crores, you spend, so we do around 150, 200 crores. There's a lot of questioning on how is that helping? Why can't this be 130 crores? Why can't it be 100 crores? Why can't it be 50 crores? You have to stand there and relentlessly answer that question. Don't blame the person who's asking the question. He's doing it for the right reason. You have to start to ensure you measure your outcome. And if you keep measuring your outcome as a marketer, and I'm telling you the antithesis of imagination, right? So don't get me wrong. Even I'm a dreamer. Even I like thinking. But your thinking has to be followed by lots of correct interpretation of the outcomes of the money that you're spending. Again, I meet lots of people. And by the way, I might be, sounding like a guy giving lots of gyan as if I'm the world's best marketer. I'm not. But what I'm trying to do here is to tell you some of the pitfalls that can cost you dear. And when it costs you dear, you'll remember the points that I'm talking about here. Yeah, so that's the attempt here. Sam and the entire group has spoken about lots of latest trends. One of the biggest crime that you can commit is ignore them, right? Do not ignore the trends that you're hearing. And lots of these trends we've been hearing, right? QCOM, I'm sure many of you were a part of that gang which said this won't work. Then we saw it started to work. Then we saw some of the biggest investors starting to double down on QCOM. And today many people say, yeah, great model. But 90% of thinkers were actually dead against QCOM when they started saying this won't work. Point is, do not ignore any trend that comes your way. So you can choose. You can choose QCOM today, I will lead. Great. You say there's a lot of customer coming in, I want to lead in this channel and I want to use this channel to talk to maximum number of customers. Great. You might say, no, fine, I'm not sure, I will follow. I'll follow the leader. So maybe I'll do 20% of what the leader is doing. Great. Your call. Third, you might choose to say, no, I'll consciously abstain. Nothing wrong with that. You say, I'll use e-com, I'll use traditional, I want to whisper to many, so this is not the right channel, etc., etc. But be clear on your thesis and have a reason why you are consciously abstaining. And keep testing out whether your choice of consciously abstaining is serving you right or not. Because within a couple of years, you'll realize that you have run the company in one direction and consumer went in other direction. So for every new trend that you hear, please decide whether you are choosing to lead, decide whether you're choosing to follow, and decide whether you're choosing to consciously abstain, and keep testing your assumptions. Every month, every quarter, keep testing your assumptions. You will have to course correct, you will have to pivot. Nothing wrong with that. Keep pivoting. That's the only way you can win in this game of marketing in the world of today. Yeah. Very important. You go to these forums and you see some really flashy media vehicles being spoken about, and you say, yeah, and it's a great conversation to have over drinks. But I'm using that vehicle, and this is how I'm talking to consumers, and it's great. And the world is talking about me, and I have these 1,000 influencers who are buzzing about my brand. But the outcome, when someone asks you saying, what's the ROI of the investment you did? It's coming. It'll come tomorrow. And that tomorrow never comes. Because you're choosing to go with the flashiest vehicle without actually measuring what you're in it for. A Mercedes versus a dumper truck. Dumper truck is not a great conversation driver, but trust me, even today, if you have to whisper to many for your brand and you're running a large brand, television still offers the lowest cost per reach. Does that mean we should all do television? Absolutely not. Does it mean that we should not do television? Absolutely not. It's a call that you have to take. But the flashiest vehicle is not the best for you. The channel which gives you lowest cost per reach and that reach translates into outcomes is the best for you. So don't get mesmerized by flash in today's generation. There's a lot of it. 15, 20 years back, we were not mesmerized with too many flashy things around us. We were very clear. There were 2, 3 very clearly and boring ones. Today, you have lots of flashy vehicles on digital. Digital has become 60%, I agree. But trust me, within that, there is a lot of gas which doesn't translate into actual outcome for you. So you need to play digital very aggressively, but do measure what you're playing with. Yeah, and of course, the way I look at linear TV versus connected TV, linear TV is more about whispering to many, and connected TV is more about shouting to a few, right? So if you have to fire a few gunshots at the right cohort, no one can do that better than connected TV for you. But if you have to whisper to masses, whisper to many at lowest cost with a great creative, of course that's an assumption, then linear TV still is a good vehicle to go with. So decide what you want to do, whether you want to whisper to many or you want to shout to a few. If the agenda is to shout to a few because you are building a new thesis, linear TV will not help you. You have to go with connected TV. But if you have a big brand and you have budgets which are pre-allocated and you want to, with that budget, with a great creative, still talk to masses, linear TV still does a good job for you. Yeah, so be clear on your priorities as you measure what to go for. And of course, I started with this when 2020. So this is just 6 years. We were all clapping the arrival of digital becoming bigger than print. And we were like, wow, this is the new thing. Today we are saying digital has actually become the biggest. Imagine 5 years down the line, what would the world look like? Do imagine. Just do a simple compounding of what we have experienced in last 5 years over the next 5 years. And the limitation of human mind is that we overestimate the short term, but we always underestimate the long term. Take an Excel and just do a maths of saying if this is the trend in the last 5 years, what would it be in the next 5 years? And 5th year, trust me, you will be surprised with what the Excel sheet tells you, which then tells you on how to approach the future, right? So don't get sort of too rattled with what you're seeing in the immediate term. Just do a long-term thesis and prepare for that future, because 5 years down the line, trust me, if we were to compare today's discussion with what we hear 5 years down the line, it will look very, very different. We will look like people coming from dinosaur age in 2025, 26, when we talk about it in 2030. So it's changing very rapidly, but very, very exciting times, especially exciting times for new brands, new thesis with all these channels coming in. And thank you, Sam, and the entire team for inviting me, and lots of value add for me as well. So thank you so much. God bless you. May you have a long marketing career ahead.